What is going on, good people of the world? I'm here with Joseph. We've got him from Paint Boss, Colorado. What's up, my man? Welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man. Tell me the story, man. So just getting started, coming in, coming out. What's the
Yeah,
background and where are we at now?
sure. So, brand new to the industry. I've been doing med spa stuff for the past 5 years. I had a laser tattoo removal business. I sold it in 2021, pivoted to another med spa. That one kind of tanked, and then I just merged this last med spa that I created with another business. So I'm just this is a really big jump out of like what I've been doing.
A little bit. This is
Uh, uh,
I haven't heard this transition before, but
yeah,
continue.
man, it's pretty wild, but it's just one of those things. Like I always find that I get to a point and then something like pushes me. So one door closes, another one opens, kind of deal. But yeah, so I'm kind of at a crossroads and looking to start something new.
Right on. Love it. Well, what have you done so far?
So website, I would say like the biggest things that I noticed, especially like in the med spa industry, like clients look for very solid content, which means like you have to have your website dialed in. You have to be good at the Facebook and Instagram and the Google and all of those things, because the reality is, for me especially, the core of my business is like skin rejuvenation, skin resurfacing. So I literally laser people's faces off. So you have to have all of that because that's how people trust you. So I've already kind of gone through and got all those things worked up, but I haven't started, getting into jobs or anything
Got it.
yet.
Let's
So
let
back
let
end is
me
done.
let's start with that because it's important, but not as important. Okay, so I know what you're thinking, and I love that you're already thinking the psychology of what you think these buyers care about. Think
Yeah.
about it like this, man. Med spa, generally speaking, people sit on this idea for a long time because it's health
Yeah.
related. Imagine that,
Sure.
right? So
Yeah.
probably 6 to 8 months, they start thinking, "Hey, I want to get this tattoo removed, or I want to get some service." Forgive me, I'm not too well versed, but I can understand
No, you're
generally
right.
this is something people stew on for a while. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to hit your website a few times before they even decide to call. And they're also going to do a lot more research, right? Because
Yep.
again, this is health related, big difference.
Yeah.
Second thing is you have way less competitors when
Way
it
less.
comes to med spa. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
So what does that really mean for you? Generally speaking, you can leverage the fact that there's not many options, if you want.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
and even if
Agreed.
there are options, some people don't want to wait that 2, 3, 4 months. Maybe there's a lead time on when they can get the service done or so this is a big difference, right? This is starkly different than the painting business. Okay. Because painting business, naturally speaking, first of all, it's not their health. So it's not that serious of a decision. And then secondarily, most people really only do research within the first week or so of them discovering the need or the want. It's an afterthought. And there's two types of customers. You have people that want the service to change the environment, or you have people that need the service. Now, based on what I'm telling you, is that in alignment with your thinking? I imagine it is, but would you like to
Yeah.
elaborate on any of that?
No, I would say that's pretty accurate, especially like with the rejuvenation piece. It's a luxury item for sure. So I would say past healthcare, both tattoo and like rejuvenation are things that like people don't generally need. Like, yeah, you got a ring finger tattoo, but you're
Right.
not going to die if you don't get it removed, you
True.
know?
But let me tell you, the fact that people need paint jobs is what's going to keep you in business. The fact that people want jobs is going to help you thrive in business. So the
Got it.
beauty of this industry is that you're serving two different types of motivations, which like you just mentioned, med spa mostly all want,
Yeah. Yeah.
but need. So let's dive into those. Is important because this is the foundation of how you're going to operate is understanding the different needs. You want to dive into that with painting? Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a house,
I
um,
do.
this is a good start, right? So generally speaking, the best thing you could do as a business owner is just to think of yourself as honestly just really the customer. It's that simple. And really think about it. Why would you need a paint job? And I'll just challenge you. What are some reasons you would need a paint job?
If I was selling,
Okay. So if you're selling your home, good.
I guess to
But what if you were buying, right? Buying. So buying and selling, right? So two reasons, right? One thing I want you to remember is that you serve both the inside of the house and the outside,
hmm
right? So let's talk about an exterior need is, let's say somebody lives in an HOA community and they've neglected to take care of their home, and they get a
Yeah.
letter from the HOA with a deadline on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have that need. What about somebody whose house is rotting on the outside? Wood rot. You live in Colorado, you're going to run into that. Okay. A lot of siding issues, right? So these are all needs. We haven't even gotten into the wants yet, the people that just want to change the color, right?
Right.
So
Got it.
what I teach is that you should have such a clear understanding of all the needs. Start there. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to create a sales process for each of those needs, right? So let me explain this to you, and then you'll run with this, because I can already tell you're going to be successful just by the way you're giving me your feedback here. And I'm excited for you, because if you've sold a business and you understand business and you apply it to this industry, brother, world's your oyster. So I'll tell you this. Think about it like this. You have someone that's selling the house, okay? I want you to just think of yourself as a homeowner, and you ask me to give you a painting estimate. What do you care about more than anything?
If I'm selling the house,
Yes.
price.
No, you care about selling your house
There.
above price, because here's the
Yeah.
deal. If you have two painters and one is $1,000 and one is $5,000, but the one that's $1,000 can't get to you for 6 months, which one do you go with?
True. The more expensive one.
Okay, why?
Because you need it done quickly.
Because you care more about selling the house than you do what's stopping you from getting there, right? So that's what I mean. And it's important for you to understand that if you go in with the mindset that people only care about price, then unfortunately you're just going to be selling price rather than value, because everyone values something greater than the painting. Let me go to the med spa. What do people value when they're getting a service done at the med spa? Are they just excited about the process of getting a tattoo removed? Is that why they're going?
No, I mean it's for tattoo removal. It's the end result for sure.
What do you think it really is, though?
Well, so there's always a story tied to a tattoo.
Love it. Yeah,
One,
dive
like,
into that.
yeah, it sucks to have a tattoo removed.
Okay.
But two, like they're trying to start over in some way, shape, or form. So
Absolutely.
removing that tattoo is like closing a chapter so they can open a new chapter.
Love it. Wouldn't you boil it down to just essentially a feeling?
The feeling of being brand new, yeah, you
Yeah.
could say that.
Dude, people spend big money just to get to a place of having a
They do.
feeling, a
Yeah,
feeling. So
you're right.
so think about this. If I'm working with a divorcee who still
Mm,
has to live in the home,
mm,
right? And I'm providing painting services,
that makes sense.
aren't we creating a new feeling in their home?
That makes sense. Absolutely.
Okay? So the story matters just as much as it did in the med spa as it does in painting.
I like
You
that.
have a very you're
Thanks for tying that together because for me, like that's the space that I live in. I think it allows me to be very dynamic in like my sales process, finding that why for the customer, whether like I'm rejuvenating skin and it's like an acne scar client and they're like, "Hey, like I feel embarrassed and I want to feel good in my skin," and like it's the same thing. I guess with paint, like I haven't been able to draw those lines together until you just said that.
Yeah, it's important. Well, this is just psychology of human behavior. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if you're selling painting, plumbing, med spa services. This is just understanding why people make buying decisions. Now,
sure.
that's the first layer. The second layer is understanding why people spend more for the same product. So, in other words, if you have two painters on paper that are doing the same thing, what makes someone spend significantly more money for painter B instead of painter A? And that is the real challenge.
Mm,
So, what that comes down to is your deep understanding of, first, identifying the type of customer you're dealing with. Number
yeah,
two, identifying their motivation. Is this a want or is this a need? Leveraging the story, and then positioning your services in a way that aligns with that specific want or need. So, in other words, you're not going to treat someone who is selling their house the same way you're going to treat someone who's buying the house. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Right. So this is your responsibility from a sales perspective, is to have a very good understanding of how you position your value. Because you have to be like a chameleon. You really do, because everyone cares about price until price isn't the only thing they care about, right? So
sure.
for example, if someone's scrambling to call a painting company because they realize the home that they're about to move into needs painting. Maybe they did that initial walkthrough or that inspection, and then they look around, they're like, man, this house is musty after they moved all this furniture. This happens, dude. This is it. So what do? Right? So they have to call a painting company right away. And where do they usually go to do that?
Google.
Google, right? You said that without hesitation. How did I know you were going to say that? Again, because it's still the norm to use Google as a resource. In other words, they're trusting Google above word of mouth. It's not like you didn't say they're going to ask their neighbor. Maybe if we were doing this 20 years ago, you would have said, oh, they're just going to knock on the neighbor's door and see who painted their house. That's what you would have said because there was
Yeah.
no Google, right? That wasn't a
Right.
trusted resource. So it's important for you to dial the customer journey, to boil it down, and then understand where people would go naturally, and then position your business right there. So your first move should be Google local service ads. You know what I'm saying? So you pop up, you don't have time to get SEO going. It's going to take too long. You're a brand new business. But Google says, "Hey, you pay us, we'll throw you at the top. We'll give you that Disney Fast Pass and you'll get right there. We just need your money." So you should be allocating resources to Google local services ads, so in the moment of need, you're one of the options they call. This does require you to get reviews. I suggest getting some character reviews on your Google page from people that have done business with you personally. Don't tell them to lie. Just tell them, hey, talk about me as the business owner, you know, the excitement that you have for me starting this business. That's all I need right now. And your
Yeah.
focus within the first 90 days of your business is to get as many Google reviews as you can.
Okay.
I mean, every customer should leave you a Google review. And if they don't, you should call them and ask why they didn't. And if they don't know how, you should walk them through it. That's how
Yeah.
important these things are. Think of Google reviews as liquid gold or digital gold, and I think you know this from the med spa perspective, but I want to emphasize again, people are making split decisions on Google versus doing research with you in the med spa space when it comes to painters. They're making split decisions. They're just looking at how many reviews, what's the rating, and they're hitting the call button.
Right.
How
So
crazy is that, right?
no, that makes total sense. So I guess in my experience, and I'm just going to throw this out real quick. Obviously, a Google lead is more expensive than like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. I would expect, if it's the same, the closing ratio to be higher with a Google lead than Facebook, etc. So as far as, and I might be jumping the gun here, but what would you do as far as like funding, looking at the split, like for easy math, let's say I'm spending $1,000 a month. I know I'm going to spend more than that, but let's say I'm spending $1,000 a month. How much would you allocate to Google and then Facebook, etc.?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, like the first thing you need to understand is how lead nurturing works. This is way different than the med spa space. Okay. I imagine that you didn't have someone calling leads all day in med spa.
No.
You didn't, right? Because again, you were positioned very well in the med spa space where you had the leverage of the fact that there wasn't many options. Okay. So when there's more supply, that means demand is generally lower, right? So, demand can get higher, but generally speaking, dude, like the suppliers have to put more energy into being the choice. So, this is a new concept to you. You have to understand that speed to lead is something that you should be very familiar with. I'm sure you've heard of drip jobs.
I've heard of drip jobs.
Okay. Drip Jobs was born with that in mind because what we do is we connect the lead sources to Drip Jobs so they could be followed up with within seconds of the inquiry. So it doesn't matter what time of day it is, time of night. Not only do they get instantly followed up with, we drip out the communication to them over and over and over again with a link for them to book, 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 book. Because we
Okay.
understand that, dude, the window of time between somebody clicking a link and booking is incredibly valuable. But I will say this, you are spot on. Google has higher intent. Like we said, hey, you need somebody. Now, here's the deal. If you're looking around that room you have and maybe significant others saying something along the lines of, I want to change the color, or maybe you're just tired of the color, you start assessing what you think the process would be to make that change, right? And the first thought is cost. Am I willing to give up my resources for this color? Is the pain great enough for me to do that? In other words, if it was bright pink and you lived in there, right? That would be probably kind of painful if you're not a pink person. So you would definitely say, this needs to be done. But let me ask you this. You have some pretty neutral colors behind you. Is it like, do you really, I mean, you could live with it, right? Okay, so these are the thought processes until it gets to the point where you can't live with it, or you really are chasing that feeling of what a fresh change would look like. So the thing of it is that Facebook ads are like digital billboards. Okay, so you keep driving past the same billboard every single day, and eventually, one day will be the day you make the phone call because the need is greater, the timing is perfect, and you're
Right.
ready to make that decision. Now, that's just a preliminary decision. The preliminary decision is to inquire. Okay. Again, need level in my scenario that I'm giving you is probably a 3 out of 10, but it goes up to maybe a 5 out of 10 because you inquired. But the inquiry is kind of like a hopeless inquiry. Have you ever sold anything on Facebook Marketplace before?
Yeah.
Is this still available? Have you gotten that one before?
Yeah.
Right? It's almost weird how often that happens when you sell
Yeah.
something on Facebook, because the psychology behind it is I want it and I want to see how close it is for me to attain it. I want to know if the work to achieve it is going to be easy. Now, the only decision I have to make is if I'm willing to give up my money for it. Follow me?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's generally the psychology behind what's happening there. So the quicker you pursue the request, the better chance you have to convert that request from an inquiry to an opportunity. And this requires a consistent system. Of course, Drip Jobs is going to do a great job of that. That's number one. But number two is it would be wise for you to get on the phone. And that has to do with the intent of the inquiry. So when you have a Facebook ad, you want to make sure that you have that lead form set up to get as much information as possible. If you only tell them to submit their email, what kind of intent is that? Super low, right? But if you say put in your phone number, intent goes up a notch. If you say put in a description of what you want done, intent goes up a notch. And now the right marketing agency is going to know this very well. So you asked a question. I gave you a lot more than that. I'm hoping this is helpful. But what I want you to understand real quick is that the budget has to do with what your goals are and a clear understanding of what each channel is going to do for you. So first of all, you got to understand Facebook is about branding first, in my personal opinion. I don't care what anyone says, because I have 40,000 views on a video and it is weird how many people around town tell me they've seen my ad. Okay,
Yeah.
weird. It's almost
Yeah.
like people I go, my wife's friends, neighbors, hey, I've seen your ad. I've seen your ad. I've seen your ad. Crazy, right? Amazing, because eventually they might be ready. And when they are ready, and you got to realize, dude, they might tell a friend, they might like my Facebook page for the future. They might. So this is just ongoing branding. I assign a budget to that. And then eventually, of course, we get leads. Google, on the other hand, is more high intent. It's going to be more expensive. I would say 50-50 between the two. And of course, you need to be a student of those numbers early on as much as you can, because the goal here is for you to jump the line. And what's great about Facebook, dude, you can run a great Facebook ad. You could say, hey, my name's Joseph. I'm with, Paint Boss Colorado. Today we're walking through a project, and you could be in the same category as me in the eyes of a customer. And I've been in business for 8 years, because they're not basing it off of your history, your reviews. They're basing it off of the emotion you exude in that ad. And they'll click regardless. They're not going to do research, because it depends on how good that ad is and the emotion that you bring out in the customer. Make sense? So those are, do you have any other questions about that? I mean, I know we kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, but was that helpful?
No, I mean, it definitely makes sense. And I've used the same marketing guy, for the MedSpa stuff for years, but he's done like the click funnels and all that jazz. So I kind of ran all this stuff by him, and his thought process was focus more on the Facebook stuff. But I've always looked at social media, especially with what I do, is more, I won't say necessarily vanity. Definitely you're spending time for branding, but I can definitely see where LSA and all of
Every
those
one of
play a huge
remember
role.
this, Joseph. Every one of your customers that you'll need for the next 10 years are on Facebook right now.
Yeah.
You
Right.
have to play where they're playing.
Yep.
You got to play where they're playing. That's all. I mean, it's a game of exposure. I'll tell you this though. Here's my honest advice. Don't waste your time with anyone that does not specialize on doing ads for painting contractors.
Okay.
It's a waste of money. The
Okay.
people who specialize in only doing ads for painting contractors have one thing: data. It's either they're going to use, if you hire someone else, your money is going to be used for trial and error. If you go with someone that's proven, the trial and error has already been paid for by all of their other clients, and they're taking ads that are working for other clients and giving them to you.
Which is what I would tell anybody looking for med spa marketing service. So
Right,
fair.
because they're used to that. So definitely do not waste your time. And I'm sure whoever did your marketing is great,
Yeah.
but
He
it's not as
specializes in
easy
med
as, hey,
spa.
I know Facebook ads. It's like, dude, like I'm sure you do, but these people have thousands of data points that are going to help. They want you to be successful. It's in their best interest. You're going to get their best stuff. So it's a worthy investment. Might be a little bit more, but again, marketing ROI in the painting business is only as good as your sales process.
Who would you recommend for that part of
I
it?
have some resources. I'll send them to you after the episode for
Okay.
sure. I
Cool.
got
Thank you.
production. That's the that's
Production.
that's the key. Production's everything. What's going on there?
I mean, nothing at the moment.
What's your thoughts?
I get right now. I've interviewed a couple of subs, so I'm working through that.
How do you feel
Still,
about it?
I feel okay. I think in general, I'm trying to figure out, what production rates are going to need to look like in this area. The estimating thing, I think, is probably like my biggest sticking point.
I have a
I've
resource for you.
Okay,
So
that
we
would
have
be
we
great.
have we have a partner in Drip Jobs that helps set up production rate estimating, coaches you through it, and
Okay,
puts together a systemized estimating process for you.
okay, that would be great because I feel like that's what's been honestly keeping me up at night.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, don't sweat it. And that's what software does for you, man. Measurements, plug it in, gives you a price. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
easy.
Awesome.
And then like I guess sales process with this stuff that I've been doing. Obviously, I've had time to really dial that in, and I'm good. I'm good at sales. Like I've never had any issues. I know you've got a car sales background. Same. Like I did the phone stuff for before I did car sales. Super familiar. I'm very good at building rapport very quickly. So I'm not so much concerned, but I know that one, creating that structure is going to allow me to flow better when I do get in front of a client and I can kind of talk through things, and then just understanding the products that I'm selling, obviously. So working with the Sherwin-Williams rep locally here just to make sure that I understand what I'm talking about.
I wouldn't overthink any of that stuff, man. I'll tell you right now. What do you think your product is? Like, if you had to drill down what your product is, what do you think it is?
For me, it feels more like I'm selling a good experience more than I'm
If you
selling a paint job.
you are right, and who facilitates that experience the
I do.
most? Well, not as much as you think. It's the painters.
Okay.
That's the product. You could be the
Sure.
greatest salesperson in the world. You can shine their shoes. But if that paint job does not match or exceed your excellent salesmanship, which I'm sure you have, your customer will feel like they were oversold. That's the
Gotcha.
problem with being a great salesperson, brother. I feel like I'm a great salesperson, but I'm aware enough to know that my production better be better, and it needs to be better by 1% or more.
Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yep.
So that has to be your standard, is the fact that, dude, you might convince somebody to go with you, but if they feel as though they were oversold and received less value than what was perceived, then you're going to run into major issues. People get
Gotcha.
really pissed off, I've learned, when they feel like they were oversold.
Sure.
So here, how do you combat that, right? So production should be your only focus from here forward. It should be your only focus. You're going to outsource marketing. That'll be taken care of. You're a natural salesperson. If you use drip jobs, your administrative stuff is pretty much taken care of. So the only thing left for you is to learn how to recruit and train individuals to go in and actually produce the result. If you get on a cruise ship, dude, and the food sucks and it's dirty and nobody's there to assist you, and it's not that experience that was sold to you, brother, it is you will not last in business. So for
Yeah.
me, it's like, dude, like it sounds like the sub thing was kind of like, yeah, I'm doing it a little bit. Dude, you need to be serious about it. You need to
Okay.
recruit the best subs. You need to have a good plan in place for how to get them work. You need to make sure that that team is in place. And if you can't, or you feel like the subs aren't the key, dude, you only need 3 employees to make $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
Average painter generates 100K if they're good. So if you want a 250K a year business, grab 3 employees, put them together, and make your own team. Now you own the production, you own their schedule, and you can train them to be how you want them to be. Everyone's always excited about subs. I think it's lazy. I
Yeah,
do personally think it's a lazy way to do business. I think if you really care about people and you want the best possible product, it's going to be people that are wearing your logo that go to work and go to bat for you as a leader. Think about your med spa. Did you have employees? Can you imagine bringing in some random people to do the things that needed to be done in that area?
absolutely not.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I wouldn't
Trust
trust
them.
them with my name.
All
Yeah.
right, trust. So when you're selling someone on your services right in front of them, what do you think that invisible ether is? It's trust.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to kick people to move forward. And that is foreshadowed in all the other things we talked about a great marketing message, a great follow-up process. But then when you're sitting face to face with someone and you look them in the eye and say, I have the best team, and you're not scrambling to decide which sub crew is going to come or if they're going to show up or if you can actually get them there on time. Dude, I
Hmm.
know when every crew I have is going to be able to do the work. I know who's going to do it. I know the standard that they have, and I know exactly what crew to put on which job with which customer. That's a powerful position to be in. I have 4 employee based crews. I know each one in and out. I know their strengths. I know their weaknesses. They've been with me for years. It's very hard to compete with us. And that's just my
So,
standard.
and I kind of heard, I don't know which interview it was, but I kind of heard you talk through that process of like you getting into it and then starting to paint and then hiring the crew.
Absolutely.
Do you think that given where I'm at right now, it would make sense to start with subs and then end goal is yes, have in-house crews. But my thought process, at least for now, is to start with subs and
It
then work
depends on
for
what your
that.
goal is. It really
Yeah.
does. Like, what is your goal? Like, do you want to fall in love with the game? Do you want to scale this business and grow it? Do you want to make a bunch of money? Do you want to make a bunch of impact? Do you see yourself doing this for the next 10 years? Like, what out of those things, which is the highest for you?
I mean, I guess I would say all the above. But I'll tell you this: the reason that I'm pivoting away from what I'm currently doing is one, like I'm good at what I do with laser. Like I'm really good, but I don't in this merger, I have not been able to do the things that I love doing, which is that sales process, working with clients, and really building something that is like meaningful to me and my community, etc. That's the shit that I love. So I see longevity here. I know what I'm capable of as far as like the sales process. So I really want to build something like sustainable and yeah, absolutely make a bunch of money doing it.
Yeah, and impactful, I imagine, right?
Yeah, for
So, who
sure.
are you going to impact the most? Let me give you an example. If impact, I like that word. You have two options here. You have a sub crew of 5 individuals that only really care about making as much money as possible as fast as possible. That's their
Sure.
goal because they're a
Yeah.
business and they have to optimize, right? Probably some of them being paid under the table. That's just how it works in this
Yeah.
business.
Sure.
Or you have a father with a few children that has been painting for 20 years, is struggling finding work, and he wants a place to call home.
I see what you're saying.
That's the choice, dude. Like, you'll make money either way. You'll probably make more money faster with the sub crew, but it's a fleeting pursuit, brother. It is. I've seen it. It's a fleeting pursuit. You're going to try to get subs and everyone's competing for subs in Colorado. Everyone does subs there, dude. It's like the sub capital of the world. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it. But the thing is I understand why, because they don't have to worry about work in the winter. You have very big companies up there that you're competing with, 5X, Foothills. Dude,
Yeah.
it's a major market. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I would venture to stand out and be unique and use that as a value proposition. Go in there and say, hey, a lot of companies use subcontractors. All of our team members are in-house. Isn't that
Okay.
a nice value proposition?
Yeah. That's
You
reasonable.
know? Just things to think about. I think you could scale to 10 employees and then sub. So the base of your company is built off of the foundation of employees, and then you might want to add subs at that point in time. But I
Okay.
think it's going to teach you a lot as a business owner in this world of, you're going to learn a lot with employees versus subs. You're not going to be as inclined to understand the production process, which in some cases doesn't matter. I know people that have scaled their business to millions of dollars don't really even know how to paint. There's 2 ways to do it, but for me, I'm happy. I have great employees. I know the process. Anybody that says, "Hey, I need a job done," I know when I can get them done, and that's a nice position to be in. And I have employees that have been able to buy homes. I have employees that have been able to get cars, gotten raises. That stuff is really, honestly, when I boil down, bro, I mean, there's nothing that makes me happier than hearing that my employees can take care of their families, they can get things they need, and they're wearing our logo on their backs, bro. I mean, it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So it's your choice
Mm.
ultimately, but I would vouch for employees all day. And I would do some interviews, man. I think that's beneficial, man. Put out an ad on Indeed, see what type of applicants you get. I have a hiring course in my school community that'll go through how to do it. It's a really nice course, so I'll give you a link to that and put together that process. I think the best thing you could do, start doing some interviews with some painters,
Yeah.
right? Put together what's a sub crew? All it is a group of painters that you pay way too much, is it not?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
put together
Does it
your own.
does it level out, you think, like when you're paying
Yeah, if you
for
have so here's the
insurance
thing.
and
It's the same effort to get 10 jobs if you
yeah,
have subs or employees, okay?
sure.
Same effort,
Yeah.
okay? I make more money on 10 jobs than you do.
Okay.
You're that's how it works. But you
Yeah.
also don't have the liability I do, which is employee taxes, vans, trailers, equipment, it's a super lean model and some people love it. Just for me, I'm not in a rush to scale to millions of dollars. I'm happy with what we do, and it's a great thing for me. And again, that'll be for you to decide, but the impact is definitely, I think the impact is higher on the employee side. I'm not saying
No, I
there's
can
no
see that.
impact. You could really impact the sub crew. If you keep them busy, they still have families, they're still people, they're still humans. But and last point on that, dude. Personally, I think if you're a painting business and the only thing that your subs are doing are painting for you, I think that's on the line of like, I don't even know if that should be legal, really, because they're just doing what they should be doing. So there's a fine line there, but we won't get into
Sure.
that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other hot questions, man, before we
No, I mean, I guess the big things I was curious about was definitely like sub work, production rates, big help on the marketing. I appreciate that. What the other thing, because I've looked at a bunch of these coaching programs, right? When I heard that you were like had a car sales background, I was like, okay, Tanner's probably the guy. And I don't know if this is something that you want to, offer offline, but what does that usually look like as far as coaching with you goes?
I don't do coaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I just do this.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the time.
Okay.
But there's some great programs out there. I'll give you those resources. I have some great friends that are really good at what they do, and yeah, give you some structure, some
Yeah.
systems. If you have that mindset, man, you're going to be successful. You're really competing against 90% of painting business owners that can't scale beyond 3 employees. The market is just so insane for this industry that like
Right.
you have cabinets, you have commercial, you have new construction, you have interior, you have exterior, you have epoxy. I mean, it's endless. It's insane. So if you have the right, it's whoever has the best system wins. Whoever can, whoever can get to the lead faster, whoever can get the most leads, whoever pays the most for the leads, whoever has the best production. These are all the indicators that really put together a winning team that can handle the demand. Because naturally people, I mean, at some point people can't handle 30 jobs in a month, and if you
Hmm.
can, you're going to get them.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So hope to see you at the expo.
Hey man, I've got the code. I'll put it in. And I'll get it done.
Do that. Well, I look forward to chatting with you, man. If you need anything else, man, we can hop back on, but I'll shoot you an email with some resources, and you're off to the races, my friend.
Cool. I appreciate it, Tanner.
Take care, brother.
Yeah. Have a good
All
one.
right, man. You too.